can now record. Nice.
Here we go. Recording in progress. It's usually my line.
So I'd just like to say, if you could just the backdrop in my room, isn't it?
It's amazing.
Very like yours. Must have just got the inspiration of.
Kind of is, isn't it? I don't know where that came from.
I always do this, so I feel it's like a nice little homage to the person I'm interviewing, as long as there's something sort of.
It is. It's like a Jude in a Dev sandwich.
It is.
You know,
but it's purple, so that's fine. I quite like that. That's my favorite color.
Matches my neon nonsense.
Oh, see, I haven't got any lights on. It's so bright outside at the moment. I wasn't quite sure what to do about the light.
I do everything I can to hide from it all day long. So.
Well, it's so nice. So you never see it in Glasgow. So the whole point is when it's there, it's like, oh, it's lovely, but it's in my eyes. So that's rubbish.
It's true. Down on the south coast, it's just been crazy hot for like 3 days. I've seen none of it.
No, because it's been like, it was 20 degrees here or something. That's just ridiculous.
Why, in Scotland?
Yeah. I know.
No way.
The thermometers don't even go up that
high. The top half of it just thawed out.
I know, it's a bit mad, but it's nice. It's nice to see it. But yeah, it's just shut the curtains on it and keep it out. So how do you want to do this? Very much just sort of see where it goes. Happy to do that. You make sure that if there's something particular that we haven't said that you want to get in there, you just say it and keep me on a tangent. It in there. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Just happy to have a chat and take it from there, really.
Okay, awesome. And I've got a few notes, but I don't really like notes. I don't really want to look as if I'm like, so, and where did this all start? You know, like it's a bit silly.
Yeah, it's often the way that you get there and they're sort of like learning your name 2 seconds beforehand. And you're like,
yeah. I mean, Kevin, I know exactly what your name is, so that's not a problem.
So Dave, when's the album coming out? That's my favourite one. Yeah, soon. I don't know, I'll ask him. You know.
That's good. All right. So, well, where do we start? I kind of want to know, first of all, where you're most comfortable, because clearly you do a bit of producing and you're obviously all about your recording, and then you'll be doing the live performance side. So what is where you are happiest is my first question.
It's a good question as well. It's something I ask myself often. Usually in this dark room, I sit there going, what am I happiest doing? I'm not sure it's any of this at the moment, but I started off, I think I was like 14 years old, just jumped into a band a week after learning guitar. You know, never one to wait around. And it just snowballed from there. Before I knew it, I was 25 and playing Sonosphere, and don't really know, I hadn't taken any opportunity to work out what I wanted to do. You know, I was just sort of going with the flow. And so that it was at that point that, you know, the debts were racking up. So I decided to go into doing live sound, which I'd done a bit of, you know, sort of mixing the support bands to cover the bills, as it were. And then that took off. And before I knew it, I was on tour for 8 years and didn't see my family or friends or anything. And then I ended up in Africa, and that's another story altogether. But ever since I came back, I tried living the normal life for a few years to get my breath back, and I sort of found myself doing the music thing and just giving it away. And then when lockdown hit, I had a bit more time on my hands to actually take it a bit more seriously, like sort of putting it online and sort of telling people about it. And it started to slowly pick up. And so did the production side of things. You know, I got a lot of emails from people saying, you know, can you have a look at my record for me? I've got it back and it sucks. I was like, okay, I'll see what I can do. And
some magic.
Yeah, that's it. You know, I'm not the most finessed production engineer in the world. There are people out there who are so, you know, studied their whole life to do it. I'm lucky to have relatively good ears, and so I can make things sound the way that they do up in the head. And then people started offering to pay me for it, because I, you know, said, oh, I can't do it today because I'm doing this one. And then before I knew it, I'd left my job, my real world job, and I was doing production full time, and I'd run out of time to do music. And so I put a break on that over Christmas and decided to do an album. And that literally takes me up to this phone call now. And that's what's happened since I was 14.
with a few gaps in between, but that's the gist of it, isn't
that's
it?
the gist of it. I don't think I've ever had long enough to sit and work it out.
No.
I think, if I'm honest.
So with Punishment Essay, volume 3, Punishment
Volume
Essay
3,
volume 3, right? Yeah. Have you had all this stuff sitting? Is this sort of rejigging stuff you've already had, or is this brand new stuff that you've done recent?
About 12 months ago, about a year ago, one of my last childhood friend passed away, and it was it hit me really hard, and I just started writing, rather than self-destructing like I had in the past, trying to leave that behind me. And it was really beneficial. And I sort of stockpiled about 25 songs or so, and then I started recording them over Christmas. I didn't have any plan. I didn't know if I was going to release it, or I think I just wanted to do it for posterity, really, and make myself feel better. But the way these things progress, you start listening to them, going, I actually think this is really good, and it's quite important that I sort of spread this around, and put it out there and see if other people can connect to it. Because there's a general theme on volume 3 that's it's not as angry as the second one was. the second one I struggled to listen to it. I'm like, God, who is that guy? He's cheer up, and it's whereas this one, it's got more of a balance to it. It's kind of sad, it's kind of happy, it's kind of bouncy, and I think it's all about trying to find people who connect with the way I feel. I think that's the most important thing in music, especially when you're doing it by yourself, because it becomes incredibly personal at that point. The smallest little detail in the song is another part of you, whereas when you got a drummer, you can just sort of say, oh, the bad bit, that was him, he wrote that. So there's no hiding. So yeah, it's all new, it's all fresh, and I think it sounds completely different yet again than anything I've done before, which kind of nice.
And obviously you're saying, so it's got quite sort of different feels to different parts of it, sort of like embracing all these different sort of feelings that you must have been having. But did you intentionally sort of think, I need to have like a little bit of this and then maybe a little bit of this, or did it just come out that way and that was just a true reflection of where you were at that point?
Oh, absolutely. I think when you go through loss and grief, as everyone knows, I think everyone's experienced it, you don't know how to act. You react in a way that you think you should, that maybe people expect you to, but it never comes across that way. And I think musically it's very, very similar. If I sat there and said, I'm going to write a song everyone's going to love, that won't be the result. That's not what will come out. If I write, this one's going to be really heavy, inevitably the chorus will come out and I'll be whistling it, and doing a thing. I'm contrary to myself, so I've sort of learned, it's like a magic eye puzzle for me writing. It's all there and you've got this picture and it's just a jumbled series of colors, and you put it up close to your eyes, you stare at it intently while paying no attention to it whatsoever. You move it away and suddenly the picture turns up, and you look at it and think, oh look, it's a boat, I thought it was a house. And it's that's the story of my life, basically.
So do you, because you've just said you had sort of written like 25 songs, sorry, I'll have to do that every so often. COVID has removed my voice and it doesn't appear to be coming back anytime soon.
It's a good croak. It's good to have
nice.
a croak.
I find I'm in channeling my Bonnie Tyler.
It's awesome.
Terribly well, I think. And of course I forgot what that really insightful question was that I was about to ask you. Something about don't know, something probably about the fact that so if you said you've got like 25 songs, do you find that you can just do that, you can just write and just come out with lots, and then how do you decide, well, that's actually good and that's better than that is, and whittle it down?
It's I'm quite lucky in that sense that I could sit there, I could pick up a guitar now and I could put something down, and it would be something new, and it wouldn't sound like something I've done before, which is quite nice. It's a nice thing to be able to do that. And I think a lot of musicians can do that. I try not to give across this idea of the, tortured troubadour who's touched by genius from afar, because I don't think music is that, to be honest. I think it's a skill you work hard at over the years, and but I can sit there and construct something out of nothing. And I think that does come from the production side of things. Someone sends you a song and you it's not right, so you start cutting it up and putting it back together and putting different things in. It's all linked. And I think the worst thing you can do is sit there and analyze it as you're doing it. I think you write, you get it down, or at least a rough approximation of it, and then you leave it alone for about a week or so, move on to the next thing, and then come back to it. Put your headphones on, listen to it while you're walking or while you're in the car. Or I find the drunk test is a really good one. Put the headphones on when you've had a few too many.
Yeah.
You're pretty honest with yourself at that point.
I was going to say, or you just be like, oh, this is amazing. And then the sober test, you're like,
That's it. If it passes both, then it's a winner. It's a winner. But and I think it is a process of time. I think you write them, you put them in and you try to have high quality control. I don't sit here and think, with the guys who listen to me, would they like this bit, or does this tick the box? Does this sound like the people I like? I think it's important to stay away from things like that, because I think Ginger can write so much from the Wild Hearts, for example. I think he can write so much because he really doesn't care whether anyone likes it or not. I think he really doesn't care. He's like, this is what I'm going to do, and this is how it sounds, and get on board. And I think that's such a powerful, liberating thing,
But then he has the added sort of benefit of the fact that by now he maybe doesn't care. But in the first couple of albums, I bet he cared. But, now he's kind of like, well, not that he can do no wrong, but he knows that he's pretty much guaranteed people are going to listen to it at least once to say, oh, it's rubbish, or that's really good,
That's a good point. When you've got a demographic, a wide fan base like that, there's going to be a section of it that like pretty much everything at this point. there's a section that will love it. Endless Nameless has its diehard fans. so.
But it's true, that because his back catalogue and because the Wild Hearts have so many, well, particularly his solo stuff, obviously, there is, you could have a whole sort of A to Z of different sort of styles and be like, oh, I don't know, what will I have today? And I think the only one that I really can't do is Mutation, because for me, it didn't gel. I didn't kind of just love that as much as the other stuff, but
didn't click.
No, just something about it. And I don't know whether it was because I never saw it live either, because I think I had a ticket for like Shed 7 or something that night, and I had a real conflict of interest because I'd already bought that, and I was like, oh, I don't know what to do. So I never saw it.
Two very far ends of the spectrum right there. Do I go to Shed 7 or Mutation?
I know, but that's very much why my musical taste is quite sort of like, there's just two ends of the spectrum, do you know? And
best way to be.
Kind of meets in the middle a little bit, sort of.
So I think I had a quote once, and it's like, there's only two types of music, good and bad. And the best thing about it is you get to be the judge of what goes in what category. And
very much,
genre just lets you know what it might sound like, not whether it's good or not.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were talking about this last night. We were discussing whether somebody can be like a really good front man and it kind of save the fact that you're not interested in the music. And the person that we were talking about was Ronan Keating. I was skeptical. I must admit, I was skeptical. I was like, he might be a really good front man. I'm not sure that would still sell me 2 hours of watching whatever band he was in, Boyzone, maybe.
I was having this chat over the years. I've had this exact same chat with my dad. There was, I think it was a Robbie Williams concert on the TV, and it was just him with the chest out, going around like this and giving the mic to the crowd mainly. And he was like, say what you like, he is a performer. It's like, well, yeah, he's a performer. Is he a good one though, Dad? He was like, well, look at him, he's got the crowd in his hands. So they've spent about 150 quid for a ticket to go and see him. They're there to have a good time.
Oh, absolutely. And apart from a few of the blokes in the crowd that are probably like looking at their watch.
Oh yeah, and the crew as well.
Yeah.
The crew. Yeah. How long we got? You know.
So when you're writing, how do you go about it? Is there a set standard procedure as to what you do first, or do you just see how you feel on the day?
It depends sometimes. I very rarely jam anything out. You know, I don't sort of stumble on things on guitar, or you know, I don't noodle around and go, oh, this could be a song. I'd love to have that moment. That'd be quite fun, really. But I sort of, you have the idea first. The idea is always there first, and then I'll sit down and I'll set up a click track with no 1 to 4 beat. So it's just a click all the way through, rough tempo of what I want, and just record what as close as I can, sketch it down to what's in my head, and I will do that for as long as it takes. And that's how you can end up with 7-minute songs with loads of different riffs, because you know you're untethered and you don't care about things like people learning the parts. You know, you just got to get it down. And then I'll move to the drums, and then I'll start cutting it up, and I'll start saying, right, the words come really quickly. I find I'll just set up a notepad next to so I've got a microphone here, and I'll literally do it like that. I'll lay down the vocal while typing out the vocals and the lyrics, and then I'll start cutting them around, moving them up, and I don't let it stop me. I find if you stop to try and work out the perfect rhyme or that killer line that sells the song, you'll lose traction by the end of the song. I don't like this anymore, you know. So move fast. You can always fix things later or elaborate on things and grow on there. So it all happens really fast. It's usually guitar, and then I'll do the drums, and then I'll do some vocals on it.
So I get the feeling, though, that you are probably one of these people who then finds it difficult to stop tinkering and tweaking and maybe just thinking, well, what if I just do you? Or are you quite...
Who have you been talking to? Who have you been talking to? It's all lies.
I know that the few songs that I've ever written in my life, I do this in most things that I do, I just kind of go blah, blah, blah. Right, that's it then. That's good. I've done that. And that's the end of it, you know? But I get the feeling you maybe take it a little bit more seriously than that.
That's a wonderful thing to be. I would love to do that. I would love to do that. I think when it comes to the actual writing side of things, I've got quite good of knowing when's enough for the song, if you know what I mean. So I'll say, right, that's enough bits. It doesn't need more bits now. Or I don't need to make that longer, or I'm really happy with the chorus there, like that. When it comes to sound manipulation itself, and mixing and things like that, oh, what an open-ended bag of cats that is. It's just, because you can always just go back and say, well, let's do it again. Let's make it sound like this. And then you'll hear an Eskimo Callboy record and go, I want it to sound like that. And go right back to the beginning. So I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to learn when enough is enough. Not everything has to sound like Devin Townsend.
Yeah. Well, I suppose as well, with the fact that whatever you produce, it can sound like it sounds when you finish producing it, but then you've got to kind of take that out. If you're going to tour that, you need to be able to replicate that on a stage, and I suppose that's not as easy when you've not got, you know.
That's a really good point. I had someone got in touch. I can't remember who it was. I was doing Wild Arts playthrough videos for anyone that doesn't know that, and I was loving that. It was just so much fun. It literally got me through lockdown, I think, the first lockdown. Because I realised I only knew how to play 2 Wild Hearts songs. So I was like, this is going to be quite a challenge. Just jam through them. And I got a really snidey comment off one person. And it was only in writing, so I can only assume their voice. But I assume it went something like, yeah, but the thing is, when you play on stage, that's real magic. I was like, all right. Okay.
Is that the voice I just used in that question? Oh God!
No, your voice is wonderful. you got the Bonnie Tyler thing going on. It can't be you. I just imagine it's like someone from Family Guy. I said, you know the voice. You know the voice.
Well, I would imagine it's the kind of people that phone into Jeremy Vine on Radio 2 at lunchtimes, that when I have the misfortune of hearing that, and I'm just like, oh.
Oh my God.
They're just like the one person over and over and over and over again. But
I heard them this morning. They said, "Do you think the leader of the church was right to chip in?" He went, "I think he should keep his mouth shut." I was like, wow. Wow. I mean, I might be a Satanist, but that's progress. That is progress. You know. So this guy chipped in and said, "Wow, when you do it live, that's real magic." I was like, "Well, no one's saying it's not, man." But I did play live for like 14 years, and as an independent artist, you know, we dragged ourselves up from playing tiny little toilets in Portsmouth to, you know, supporting Turbo Negro and supporting Jet and Electric Eel Shock, and all the way up to, you know, we were on after Corey Taylor at Sonosphere at Nebworth. Life was pretty good.
Yeah.
You know? And that was, it's like, I've done it, man. Just because it's kind of a lockdown, in case you ain't noticed.
Yeah,
it's just,
also that.
Kind of like it in the studio now as well, you know. But taking it live, I think I realized roughly around halfway through volume 2 of Punishment Essay that there was too many guitars. I wish I'd put out that version that I had at that point. I was halfway through because you know, Devin Townsend was on the phone saying you probably need to calm down a bit with the guitars, and I was so now all I ever really do is guitar left, guitar right, and then I'll add little bits for texture, but they're little things that if you went to them live, it wouldn't leave a hole in it, you know. So if you stop playing the crunchy chord to do the little noodly bit, it would still carry pretty well.
Yeah,
because you have to have an eye on how it would sound live, because I'm not having tracks playing behind me, because that's if I learned one thing from the live industry, computers fail. they go wrong.
That would be catastrophic at that point, really, wouldn't it?
Awful. I was on tour with Pendulum, and their Pro Tools rig just fell over, and all you could hear was a drummer just bashing an electronic drum kit, and some guy droning on out of tune. It was hilarious.
Well, it happens to the best of people. I mean, I went to see Ginger and John Poole last night, and just as they came on, and I don't know if you've been in Bannerman's in Edinburgh, but it's a tiny little cave of a place. It's lovely, but it's tiny. And they sort of got on and they started strumming. They started to play something, and literally 2 seconds later, John Poole's like, Can I get my guitar? I can't hear it at all. And then he was like, "Oh, I haven't plugged it in." And then it was a lot better.
Oh, John.
And I don't even think it was for comedy value. I think genuinely he just got carried away in the moment, and then he was going to pull a diva thing of, you know, I can't even hear myself. Oh,
and that's it. Do you know, in that split moment when he said, "I can't hear myself," he felt like killing that sound engineer. And that sound engineer's thinking, he's at the back of the room. No one's looking his way because he's behind everyone, and he's going, "Plug it in, plug it in."
Which just reminds me why I would never want the job of the sound engineer. It must be horrific.
It's not great. It's you know, there was a lot of kids came into the job because they wanted to hang out with bands, and I totally understood that. But it was, you know, it's 18-hour days with 4 hours sleep on a bus, and you got up and did it again and again and again. And you know, when things go right, you don't get a thanks because that's what you're paid to do. And when things go wrong, it's your fault.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. And knowing some of the bands, you know, I bet you they're lovely until something goes wrong, and then I bet you there's no end of swear words directed at you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I won't be going back on Pendulum in a while, that's for sure.
So do you know how you're going to go live with it? Have you got people that you're going to bring in as your band, or is that still sort of?
Absolutely. I've got a guy called Harry on bass, and he's a monster. He's there's a lot of people in this world who play guitar who think they can stand in on bass, and then there's people who play bass. You know, he's one of them. Yeah, and he's really good. He's also versatile. He can move between the various different little bits that I want to do. Guitar wise, I'll be doing guitars and vocals, and I'm currently stuck looking for a guitarist, and the reason for that is I'm looking for a female vocalist, because I just think they're more versatile vocally. You know, there's a lot of people out there who can throw the shapes and hit a guitar and do the chords. I really don't need that. You know, I need someone who can who can fill the harmonies out and do that side of things. And CJ's quite busy, so I have to find someone else.
And he's not a girl. I hate to break that to you.
He's not a girl.
It's the beard, generally. The beard.
Yeah, he's pretty enough. But I always thought that he just had he's got such a unique tone to his voice, and it really allows him to do some magical things. And I just think if I get another bloke in there shouting like me, it's just, it becomes limiting, you know? So I'm kind of looking for that at the moment. And the problem is, in my age range, most people have said, I'm not doing that anymore. I've got a job. So so the search is on. But there are people who have offered to step in already and do bits and pieces. So it's looking like pretty good live band at the moment. Drums are all sorted as well. So which is quite impressive, because I played them on the last album. I could play my own. I couldn't play anyone else's. Play my own songs to figure that one out. I don't understand that. But tried to play along with AC/DC the other day. I'm like, oh, what? But get my own song. I'm a double kick monster. Makes no sense. None.
It is bizarre, but I guess you're just focused on the sound that you want, and you can just make it happen somehow.
You can't fail your own song.
Well, because nobody else knows how it's supposed to sound. So
true, exactly. That's an odd stoppage, wasn't it? Just genius. It's in 7/8.
It took me 3 weeks to work that out.
Yeah. Very clever. It's all in accounting.
I know. So where are we with timescales of things? Sorry, some sort of weird thing popped up on my screen there telling me something about $14.99. And I was like, what's happening?
Yeah, that's my stealth way of funding this whole thing.
If you talk for 20 minutes, the money will be deducted from your account.
I think I'm pretty quick. I think I'm pretty cheap. 15 quid for 20 minutes. Value for money. So timescales. I think the first single is coming out 13th of May. That's a Friday, I think. And that's going streaming, that one.
Friday the 13th is a good satanic sort of, was that purely by coincidence that's happened?
That's actually just when the penny dropped. I had no idea. I'm glad you pieced that together. Friday the 13th of May. That'll go well then. And that's when the single's dropping, and I think the video should be landing on that day. They've had a bit of problem with COVID, the people that were helping me out with it, so I'm kind of just fingers crossed on that one. But I don't think people are too worried if they have to wait a day or two to see my face moaning at them down a video screen. And so I'm really excited about that. Because it means a lot to me, that song. That song was written on the day my friend passed, my friend Brian. And the last song of the album was written, I know it was finished on the day of his funeral, which was a couple of weeks later. So it very much is a full story. So I wanted to start with that song. And I think there's probably other more single type songs on there. But the great thing about being sort of independent is you don't have to worry too much about what people tell you to do. You can do whatever you want. So for all the negatives you get of being independent, there is a lot of good ones too. So the single comes out 13th, and then I think on the 8th of June, so just under a month later, I think that's when the album is going to be on physical release. So that's going to be available for pre-order shortly after the single. There'll be like a big cartel shop thing that people can go to. And I'm really excited about that, because you don't get to make physical things anymore. No. Like vinyl. Everyone sells vinyl, but everyone sells vinyl, but I don't know anyone who's received one in the last 4 years. But these people are just going, oh yeah, we're all sold out of green. I'm like, great, has anyone got one? No, I won't get these for years. God, can I get some of that action, please? But so that'll be going on, I think, CD, good old fashioned CD. And there's going to be like options for getting like lyric sheets, handwritten liner notes and stuff like that, just little things to stop me having to live on the streets.
That's help.
Keep the lights
actually
on.
Making some money out of this whole thing.
The production side of things keeps me going, but it'd be nice to be able to keep everything funded properly. And then I think there'll be another single shortly after that, And then I think we're going to be starting to look at some shows, I think maybe in sort of August, sort of so as the summer hits. But that all depends on how rehearsals go, because I'm a nice guy until we get into rehearsals, or so I'm told. So I'm told. I don't know. I don't understand what that comes from. Just play it right. That's what you got to do.
Well,
You know.
you say that as if it's easy, but I'm sure it's not.
It is easy, really. It is. I've tried explaining that to people before. They're like, "Oh, you're not enjoying it." I was like, "No, I was when it was played right." But
Such a diva, honestly.
I wouldn't say I was a diva. I suppose they never do they?
No, you wouldn't say you're a diva, but
No, I wouldn't say I was a diva.
Once
I
you
tell
put
you
the
what,
band
though.
together and we interview them, then we'll find out.
Oh yeah, we'll see how that one goes. I'll tell you, I'm a pussycat. I'm an absolute pussycat. I'm a carry-on movie watching pussycat. Disney loving southern puff.
Yeah, all this Satan malarkey, just a front, isn't it? Totally.
Oh yeah, it's like the beard. I don't need the beard.
So good. So, well, when can I play this song? That is clearly the most important part of my itinerary.
Well, yeah, it's absolutely your prerogative to play it first. Because it's tricky out there because people sort of, until the ball starts rolling, other people don't want to touch it, and then there's other people who just want an exclusive, and you're like, well, a lot of people want to play at the same time. So it's very tricky. So I say you can go live. It's going to be Friday the 13th, maybe end of the month.
That sounds
end of the
good.
month, so
yeah, because I generally record sort of, so like this Friday show will be already in the bag, so the following one will be like the 29th or something.
Makes a lot of
Does
sense.
that seems good, and by that point then, with a bit of luck, this will be edited and that'll be the perfect little combo of interview and exclusive track.
Yeah, that sounds amazing to me, and then I can tell everyone to go watch that, and they can do it through your thing.
Can hopefully make sure it's the right show and the right week this time.
Hey, that's on you. That's on you.
I know it is.
The pressure for the song's on me. The rest of it's on you.
I mean, Ed laughs at me for this, but I'll be like him. Oh yeah, I'm playing such and such, or no, was that last week? Or it might be the one on the. But it's because it's all just jumbles up into one, and it's really difficult to remember.
Oh, it does get like that.
It does. But that'll be so exciting to play that out, and I think people are really. I mean, obviously, I've listened to that and the other track that you sent me through, and they're both like, I can tell that I'll be loving them. They'll be growing on me too. So, I'm sure they will for everybody else as well.
Yeah, it's quite the other songs. That's quite a fun one. It's when someone passes away, you don't always look back sadly. So
yeah.
And I kind of want to remind everyone, this isn't an hour of me crying on a record. It's
maybe an hour of us crying.
No, that was the second one. I'm also remaking the first one. Yeah, that was an odd situation. There was because when I made that record, we did it while we were working in a warehouse, and we recorded it in a microphone cupboard on lunch breaks and stuff, and it was so guerrilla, and it sounds really industrial and it was, the guy who recorded it was actually like a dubstep engineer who just really liked it for some reason. And so while I think it's cool, when you said it with the other two, it just looks like I discovered drugs on the first one and then cleaned up for the rest, So it's kind of like, I'm not really big into remakes because I've got enough material that I kind of want to move on to the next projects. However, I think it's important to relaunch the band this year with a live band and everything, and also to have the songs in a standard that people will expect them live. So I have to think less about sort of the people I've picked up over the years who have kept me going, but think about perhaps the people that aren't on board yet. So I think capturing that album and sort of refreshing it, giving it a lick of the paint and recording it from scratch, and it sounds like a monster. I'm so proud of that one. It's gonna really confuse everyone. Like, oh look, he's really sonically grown by like volume 3. He's like singing now, and the harmonies are there, and he's redone volume 1. Oh, okay. He still knows how to scream, doesn't he?
Well, it's all good. As we say, we like a bit of a mixture to keep us on our toes. So that should be good.
I like to think I keep a balance in there. It's,
Yeah.
I've seen bands before that are just an hour and a half of growling, and that's fun, but it's a little one level. I don't
Yeah.
know where they go from there really.
Yeah.
But
You
after
need a
this,
bit
I
of
might
variation.
I think so. After this, I might do my Eurovision album.
Wow. Your
Just
duet
finally.
with Ronan Keating. And then I
Life
really
is a
regret
roller
all the
coaster.
comments.
Life is a roller coaster.
Well, yes, indeed. He's right there.
Yeah.
Is there
Life is a
anything
roller.
else you would like to say or do? We have 1 minute apparently on this. This must be because it's your cheapo version, because I pay for mine.
I had nothing to do with this. I got sent the link. Cheapo version. We have 1 minute. I've been waiting to do this all day.
Minute, but no more specific. How very strange.
I love that. It's just gonna at some point.
Yeah, probably. Just when I think of something really funny to say.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for coming on and having a chat with us, and we very much look forward to putting Born Beside the Sea out on the show and all of the future singles.
Thanks, Jude. I really appreciate it. It's lovely talking to you.
Nice to speak to you. All right, take care. I'll try and come off this now with a bit of decorum.
Less than 1 minute.
Just gonna move the screen now.
No hassle, no stress.
Right, catch you in a bit. Maybe.
Cheers, Jude.
Stop. Hey. I'm still on the thing though.
Oh, you're still here.
So I shouldn't be like, oh.